Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. We are getting started this evening with our second virtual happy hour of Veguary. And so we just want to take some time to say hello and introduce ourselves before we get started. We see a few people streaming in. So as we're introducing ourselves, please come to the comment sections and say hi and where you're watching from tonight. If you're prepared, you're going to be sipping on something or snacking on something with us during this virtual happy hour tonight. So I'm Jessica. I am the Director of Programming at Afro-Vegan Society, and I'm so excited to be here showing you how I make my blueberry sparkling limeade. And I'm going to also show you how to make some sesame, soy, maple cauliflower wings.
Awesome. I'm Jamila Alfred. I'm the Marketing Director of Afro-Vegan Society, and I'm excited to show y'all how to make a tagine margarita and some barbecue seitan wings.
I'm Jasmine. I am the Director of Donor Relations, and today I'm paying homage to the city. One of the delicacies of Baltimore is the infamous chicken box. So 4 wings and fries and a jumbo, half and half. So for my drink, I'll be making a half and half, and then I'll be making my 4 wings and fries.
All right, so I am the other Jessica around here, and I am the online community engagement coordinator, and I'm going to be showing you how to make, I am going to show you the luxury of pre-made wings that you can get from the store or that you can get from a restaurant. And I'll also be making a vodka sweet tea, which I'm going to make into what happened. Yeah, should be really good.
What is good, y'all? This is Ray, Operations Director of Afro-Vegan Society. Happy to be here again for a happy hour. Today, I'm making a sugar bourbon tea, or for you want to take the cuteness, you want a brown sugar bourbon fade. And for food, I'm taking some jackfruit and making some non-chicken jackfruit bites.
Wonderful. So we are here. We see people starting to come into the comments with shout outs from where you're from. So Mrs. Yvonne is watching from DC. Hi, Mrs. Yvonne. We also have Afro Latina Mundo tuning in. Again, it's been great seeing you in our comment section all Veguary long. And then we have Ernestine, and she is watching from New York City. So the East Coast is representing strong, but we know that people tune in from all over the country for these lives, and we're so glad that you tune in with us. So with that said, to make it flow smooth, we're just gonna go in the order preparing our different dishes based off of what y'all see on the screen. So Jamila, since you're furthest to my left, we can go Jamila to start, then I'll go Jess, you'll go next, and then we'll go Ray and Jasmine. So that'll be our flow of prep for tonight. So each person will get the spotlight to make their very own dish, and then we will be back as a group to share our progress of what we got going on. So we're starting with drinks. Let us know what your favorite drink is, favorite cocktail, favorite mocktail. Let us know what you like to sip on when you're relaxing and unwinding on a Friday night after a very long week. And with that, we're going to give you the floor, Jamila.
All right, so how about I make a tagine margarita? So the thing is, it really calls for tagine, which is like a chili lime flavor. It could be like something like warming spices, especially in like Southeastern Asian dishes. But today I got myself some Cajun seasoning because it's a little similar in my opinion. And I already have my lime juice as well and my lime margarita flavored liqueur to give that chili lime flavor as already. So the recipe calls for things in ounces. So just because of that, I'm going to go with the flow because, over here we do what we feel. And since I'm not much of a drinker, I'm probably going to have less of the alcohol, the liqueurs. So I'm going to show you my ingredients first. So in order to make that, I have the lime juice, which calls for 1 ounce of that. But, once again, I'm going to pour as much as I feel. I have my island lime, Margaritaville type style liqueur. I have triple sec orange liqueur for this. And it calls for agave nectar, but I'm just going to use some maple syrup. And once again, you could have your tagine, which is a nice little like Southeastern Asian. I believe it's also a Middle Eastern type spice. But I'm going to have my Creole seasoning because, you can't ever go wrong with Creole seasoning. Okay, great. So let's get right into it. It also calls for ice cubes because, you don't want your alcohol to be warm. You know what I mean? So I'm just going to take out my ice cubes that I've been making all day, and I'm going to get right into this. Okay, great. So how about I put in my ice cubes first? So, just make your own. And if possible, with filtered water. So 4 ice cubes. Great. Putting it back in the freezer. Okay. And then it says 1 ounce of lime juice, but let me open that right quick. So let me shake it. So shake well and refrigerate while it's open. So I'm just going to open that up really quick. Give me 1 second. Excuse me. Sometimes you forget that, when things like this are very perishable, they have a little cap on top, which is understandable, keeping it nice and safe. Okay, great. So what I'm going to do, instead of just doing an ounce, because I don't have like ounce measurements and all that type of stuff, I'm going to be doing 1 tablespoon, just because I like lime. I love lime juice. Gives it a nice little tanginess. Okay, cool. Putting that in there. Maybe a little more. Why not? Okay, a little bit of lime juice. Cool. So next, moving on, we're going to have our 1 ounce of mezcal. And so I'm going to probably do about a tablespoon of that, maybe a little bit more, just because, I don't want to it's Friday, but I want to make sure I'm nice and tame. So I'm going to do a little bit of that, especially since we have our orange liqueur as well. So I'll do a tablespoon, maybe a little more. Okay, great. Moving on to the orange liqueur. Oh, I can't wait to try this, especially since it's orange and lime. Oh, gives it a little tropical flavor. And especially adding the Creole seasoning, it's going to give it like a nice little balance of sweet and smoky and like tangy, really. So I'm going to do 2 tablespoons so far of the orange liqueur. And it calls for 1/4 ounce of agave or syrup. But how about I do probably about a half a tablespoon of syrup. Pouring that into my measurements. Yeah, maybe a little more to make sure the sweetness is all the way there, since everything is pretty tangy and citrusy. Okay, great. And the thing is too, it calls for putting the tagine in the lid. When you put it around the rim of that. So I think what one does with that, they usually take they usually put the cup itself and like dip it in like lime juice and then put the seasonings on there. I'm going to try my hand at it. Don't feel pressured to do that yourself. I'm going to try my hand at it. So let's see how I do with that. And I might add a little bit more of the lime Margaritaville. Just a little bit more, just half a tablespoon, barely. Perfect. Okay. Now time to put the salt around the rim. So I don't know how bartenders truly do it. That is like truly a craft within its own thing. But let's see what I can do. So I'm going to put a little bit of lime juice on my fingers. And probably have my spices right here. This so I can have it to be sticky. All right, cool. Pouring that around. Because, we want to have our cocktail to be a little fancy. Okay, so let's see what I can do. Okay. I attempted, y'all. I attempted. And
You are great, Jamila. You are great.
Instead is put a little bit of a dash of that within my drink. And that might sound a little weird, having spices in the drink, especially since tagine or Creole seasoning is a little bit more on the spicier side. But you know what? I like spicy stuff, and it gives it a little bit of a kick to balance out that citrus-y flavors. So I'm going to mix that around, maybe even add a little more for extra good measure. And on top of that, if you wanted to, you could also put a lime wedge on top of it to give it a little bit of a summery feel. Since we're all cold here, especially for my folks here in the East Coast, you already know it is cold over here. We're almost out of that since it's going to be March very, very soon. So I'm very excited. So this is bringing me all the way back to the summer. Okay, great. This is how it looks so far. It's a little bit dark. which is really, really cool. Makes it look really smoky. And it tastes great. Oh, yes. Yes. Very tart. And yes, honestly, I know it calls for tagine, and we like to be creative over here, but Creole seasoning works just fine. So if you need a substitute, you could probably even use Old Bay. You could probably even use like some sort of like chipotle powder, or I even saw sriracha powder somewhere in my local market. So if you have that accessible to you, you can definitely try that as well. But yep, try it when you can. That's all.
That looks really good, Jamila.
Thanks.
And before we get into the next drink demo, I think we should set the mood. Last time we did the live, we had some background music. So I'm going to put some background music on just to get a little vibe in here.
Yes.
So get the volume right. All right. Do we hear the music? Is it too loud? Is it good?
That's good.
Yes, nice and vibey.
Yeah, it's subtle in the background, so.
Okay, perfect. And while you were whipping up that drink, Jamila, we had so many people come into the comments and let us know where they're from. So we've got Linda in Orange County, California, Deetra in Atlanta, Tamara is here in Maryland. We've got Bernice in Atlanta. Man, we've got everywhere from, okay, we've got mocktails. People are sipping on mocktails tonight. So many amazing things going on. Tahine, that is the pronunciation. Thank you for that, Joy. And we got people tuning in from Texas. So thanks so much. Keep shouting out where you're from. Do your roll call all evening long with us and let us know what you're sipping on, what's your go-to drink when you are unwinding on a Friday night. I'm going to show you mine. It's real simple. I very much like the simple drink. So I'm going to take over the screen and show y'all what I'm whipping up. So make sure my mic isn't in the way. And let's get into this here. So I'm going to be making a blueberry limeade sparkling blueberry limeade. I think that's the best way to describe it. So in this cup, I have a half cup of frozen blueberries. I just put these straight into the cup. And I want them to create some sort of syrup. So our frozen blueberries are almost serving like our ice in this situation. They're going to chill the drink. So I'm going to take about a tablespoon of sweetener. I'm using coconut sugar. So coconut sugar has a lower glycemic point, so it's not as sweet as like your agave nectars or your cane sugars. So I'm going to be generous and do about a tablespoon. And then basically the sugar is going to help to release the juices from these blueberries and start to make a bit of a syrup. And so I'm just going to get that sitting right here. And then I'm going to put the juice of one lime. I want this to be very limey. So I'm going to put the juice of one lime in here. So, of course, limes can be hard and it can be kind of tough to get the juice out of them. So people always suggest that you roll them, and that definitely works. But I would say something I learned that really helps to burst all the little capillaries inside the lime is to put them on their north and south pole. And I just put them flat and I press, and you kind of feel it like bust when you get it. And also a lot of like oil starts to come out of the lime skin. That's how you know you did it. And then I flip it over and press again like that. So now you can squeeze it. It's a lot softer than it was. This is like an unrolled lime versus a rolled one. Then I roll it a bit more. And now I'm just going to slice it in half. And it's really juicy. Now there's like juice coming out all over the lime. I don't know if you can see that up close. It's kind of bright, but yes. So that just means our juice is going to come out so easy. So I'm going to use this whole lime in here. This is a limeade. And I always loved limeade growing up, even more than lemonade. I love them both, but limeade is just that much more acidic. It kind of makes like your mouth water even more when you drink it. So I love that extra sourness of the lime. So I'm getting it all out, and I'm doing pulp and everything. If you don't like the pulp as much, you could put a strainer over your cup and squeeze it in and then press the juice out, but I like the pulp. And you could also do this exact same recipe and throw everything into a blender and blend it up, and it's kind of like a thicker, almost like a frosty, icy situation. So both of those are great options, but this blend of flavors is super simple and super complimentary. And it's going to very much complement the sesame, soy, brown sugar wings that I am making tonight. Something light and refreshing to go with something sticky and spicy and savory. So I'm really serious about getting all this pulp out. It's kind of just sitting on top, but we're going to mix it up again. And honestly, the lime juice and the mist coming out is like clearing up my sinuses right now. So it's potent. So you can see, I don't know if you can see, but look how much liquid has been released just from adding the juice and the sugar in. I think that's called masticating, but don't get me lying. So I'm just mixing this up till it's well combined. And then I have some sparkling water here. So I let this sit in the freezer for about 2 hours. This is Waterloo sparkling pineapple water. So it just has like some pineapple extract in it. You could use plain, you could use whatever flavor you like, but I'm going to use this. Okay, and we're just going to pour this in. And I'm taking my time. I don't want it to get too frothy and like overflow. But that pineapple, the lime, and the blueberry are so delicious together. Very refreshing. It's like healthy homemade soda. All right, so I'm going to give it another stir just to make sure. Ooh, ooh. Oh no, oh no. Just to make sure. I'm glad I have a cutting board here.
That means drink is explosive.
Oh. It's tangy too. Ooh. Okay. Safe zone. This will be cleaned up in a jiff. But in an attempt to recover and make this look cute, I'm just going to cut a lime wedge here and put it on the edge of my cup. And there we have our explosive sparkling blueberry limeade. So delicious, so refreshing. And I can't wait to sip on this tonight. So let's go back to the crew and see what everybody else is up to. Jess, are you ready to show off your drink tonight?
I am. I mean, I don't have any fizz in mine already. That looks so good, by the way.
Thank you. All right, the floor is yours.
All right. Happy Veguary, everybody. Happy Friday. Happy hour. So I'm going to show you how to make a sweet tea vodka. I'm a tea drinker, whether it's hot tea, cold tea, iced tea. In this case, it's going to be sweet tea. So, of course, you're going to need vodka. I have this brand, Tito's, and this is 750 milliliters. So you're also going to need a mason jar or a pitcher. So this is a mason jar, and I mentioned the milliliters because this fills it all the way up. So what you're going to need is a special kind of tea bag to make this easier and quicker for time. So these are called cold brew. And a couple of brands, and this one is Lipton, and I found another one, this is Celestial. So the cold brew tea bags are good because you don't have to wait a long time for the tea to brew. So all you do, of course, is you pour your vodka into a mason jar. And this has been steeping for about 15 minutes. And look how dark that got. It looks just like regular tea, right? But believe it or not, all of this is pure vodka. So what you want to do, you just want to squeeze the tea bags and get out every drop. And I put about 6 in here. I did 3 of each. I like the darker tea. You could do, let's say, 4. And I'd say to steep it for about 20 minutes. You don't want to steep it for too long because then it could get a little bitter. So all I'm doing right now is I'm squeezing out the vodka back into the mason jar. Make sure you get every drip. You don't want to waste any of the vodka. So just squeeze it. Make sure you get it all out. And I have one more left in here. All right. So you have your vodka that was steeped with the cold brew tea bags. And now what you're going to do, if you're brave, I'll say, you could just drink this as is. I am not that way. But this will be really fun to do like shots. But of course, for the sake of a cocktail, we want to mix it. So I'm going to do lemonade. So you can also do water. If you do water, then it'll just stay as sweet tea. But before we put it into a cocktail, we have to sweeten it because it's just vodka and tea bags. So here I have simple syrup. So if you've never heard of simple syrup, all it is equal parts sugar and water. So you can either make it in the microwave. I made it on the stove, and you get your sugar and your water, you boil it, and then you let it simmer until it's clear. So until you see no crystals, you will get your simple syrup. So if you are planning to pair your sweet tea vodka with just water, I'd say add 6 to 8 tablespoons of the simple syrup. Since I'm using lemonade, I'm probably going to do about 4. So I have my tablespoon here. You take your simple syrup and you're going to pour it into the mason jar or your pitcher. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do 5 just for good measure. Plus, who doesn't like tea too sweet, right? So I'm going to give that a little mix. All right. So we have our sweet tea vodka here. Now, as I said, you could stop here. If you are brave and a vodka drinker, you could do shots out of this. But for the sake of the cocktail, we are going to mix it. Now, my mixer I'm using is lemonade. So let's say we're going to do 2 to 1. So I have my glass here. I'm going to just pour my lemonade over some ice. All right. Do about that much. And then our sweet tea vodka. Let me just stir it up one more time to make sure the simple syrup is dissolved within the vodka and the tea. So then all I'm going to do, I have my lemonade here as my base. You could use water if you just want to keep it as the sweet tea. But we're making a half and half, so I'm going to pour it on in. All right, and give it a mix. And I'm going to cut a lemon. I'm going to do Jessica's trick. I had never heard of that. I was going to tell y'all to roll it too, but let's try pressing it and see what happens to make sure you got these juices out. So just going to cut a lemon. And I like pretty lemony tea, so I'm going to put some in the glass as well as just, put it. I've seen some bartenders twist it. Twist it. And then one more slice for the garnish. All right, and before you take a sip, just give it a stir so everything is mixed. And I got my sweet vodka, which we turned into a half and half. And that's actually really good. You can taste the tea, the lemon, so hope you try it. Cheers to Veguary.
That's good too. Refreshing, actually.
Yeah, it's really good. I wasn't sure how well the tea would steep into the vodka, but it's really good.
Nice.
Awesome. Oh,
Just you.
Jessica, you're on mute.
Oh.
Thank you. So, yes, before we come to you, Ray, we have a few more people who have checked in during Jess's demo. We've got Ruthie from Texas, Carol from Iowa, Joni from San Diego, Antoinette from South Carolina, Theo from Bakersfield, and people are loving what we're mixing up. So we're excited to see our resident mixologist, Ray, and what she has to offer to us today. So, Ray, you ready to take it over?
I am.
All right, here you
Let's
go.
get this party started again. All right, so for Veguary, keeping in with the theme, of course, I wanted to make sure I used the spirit that was echo. A lot of the wines from the wines that are Black owned, vegan, but it's hard to find on this side of the. It, and it's called brown sugar bourbon. Now this has been around for a while, but Jamie Foxx brought the company out. So it's called brown sugar bourbon, but goes by BSB. Now, this is the one that has the lower proof. There's also BSB 103. Because it's Friday, I want to keep it light, but we can save the B103 for Saturday if you go to the liquor store and get it. Okay. So, what we're going to do is get started, and I hope you're excited. First, we're going to start with 1.5 ounces of the BSB. And honestly, this is really good on its own. So if you want to put a couple ice cubes in it, mix it out for like my chill drink, you can. But I like to mix it up, obviously. Too much. I feel like I'm doing it right. 1.5 ounces. Next, we're going to do 1/2 of elderflower. Now, if you didn't tune in for the last hour, telling you a little bit about this. This has a lot of floral notes to it. It's a liqueur and it goes down really smooth. Ounce. And you can kind of use the citrus with all of us. You can limes. I usually have lime juice because at any time I might go downstairs, the liquor cabinet, throw something together, and I might not always have. I'm definitely going to have my citrus fruit on deck though. Shaking it up. We're going to do 1/2 ounce of that. All right. And next are now my recipe that I created for this calls for either 4 ounces of ginger ale or tonic. I didn't have ginger ale in the house. And again, all about using what you have. It's not that serious if you don't ingredient. Go look online, see what you can substitute. That goes down to spices, to drinks, whatever. So what I did have on deck was tonic water, but I wanted to give it a feel. So I have this ginger juice, which goes great in tea or have you. Now, because we're doing this in the rocks glass, only about like 8 ounces or so, we don't need to pour that much in. Little sprinkle, you want to keep it light. Okay. Mary. Now, I like to squeeze and crush my herbs a bit whenever I'm cooking or putting something in. So with this, I'm going to do a little Karate Kid, rub it together. Like I'm about to hung with this drink, and I'm going to throw it in there. Depending on if you like ice, will dictate the next step. So if you do ice, you can have ice in your cup. You can do a little shaking to this, and then you just pour it in and feel free to stir. But first, I'm just going to throw everything together. So I do have some ice here. Just give it a little chill. I prefer my drinks without ice in them. So I'm going to put on this end. And you don't need to do like a super crazy type of mix with it. Just something to swirl everything together. Right? And I'm going to strain. Listen to the way it pours, y'all. It just sounds like it's going to be a good drink. Okay. And I have an additional rosemary sprig. This is just to make it look fancy. So I'm not going to do a Karate Kid crush. Have it. Cheers to Veguary.
Unmuting. Okay, that looks really good, Ray. And as we keep it moving, oh wait, let's come on, shout outs. There's so many people are tuning in every time we do a little segment. So Tamara said it looks delicious. We've got Bo, Brother Deke from Philly, Ezra from Texas. We've got Queen from Arizona, Jerry from Brooklyn, and we got people all over the place. So we're so excited to see so many people tuning in. If you're enjoying the drink so far, hit the like button. Subscribe to us on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube. Go ahead and follow us on Facebook. And yeah, just keep watching because we have so much more amazing content like this planned coming up. But let's live in the now. We're happy you're here with us now. And so now is the time for Jasmine. So Jasmine, are you ready?
I am.
Okay, here we go.
All right, what's up, everyone? So I'm Jasmine again, and tonight, this is wing night. Since we're all doing wings, I thought what better meal to make than the Baltimore delicacy. 4 wings and fries, plus a jumbo half and half. Don't forget the salt, pepper, ketchup on the wings and the fries. So if you're from Baltimore, let me know if you're tuning in from there if you heard of that meal. So getting started with my drink, I'm keeping it simple. I have some lime juice here. I have some sugar. And then I already went ahead and I brewed my black tea right here. So I already have my simple syrup going on. So back here, I just use 4 tablespoons of sugar and then 2 tablespoons of my lime juice, 2 tablespoons of my water. I brought that to a boil and I have my simple syrup right here. I'm gonna go ahead and pour it into my glass. My syrup is nice and golden brown. Then I'm gonna go ahead and add my brewed tea to it. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a mix. So all those flavors are coming together. And then I'm gonna go ahead, since it's an iced tea, iced half and half, I'm gonna go ahead, I have my ice cubes. I'm gonna drop a couple ice cubes in. I then lost the ice cube. Nice long ice cubes. And since we just took the simple syrup off the stove, the ice cubes will help make it a nice ice cold drink, help cool it down. All right, I think that's good enough. So it's real simple. Again, you have your black tea. I use 3 tea bags with 18 ounces of spring water. I brewed that and I put it in the refrigerator and let that sit for a couple of hours. And then I made my simple syrup. Again, 2 tablespoons of my lime juice, 2 tablespoons of water, and 4 tablespoons of my cane sugar. And then here's the nice simple half and half. Baltimore delicacy right here, y'all. Let's give it a little taste. That's good. That's really good. Well, let me know in the comments if you've been to Baltimore and if you had a half and half. Some other people call it Arnold Palmer, but that's not the real name. It's a half and half. Representing for Baltimore, y'all.
They're right, half sis, half and half.
Yes, well, everyone, let's cheers. Let's cheers to a successful round of drink. If you're watching, you have a drink, raise your glass. We're happy to be with you tonight, sipping to all the vegan goodness that we have learned and shared all month long. And so, we have some more feedback. Veronica is loving your earrings, Ray, and she's saying that vodka tea that you made, the sweet tea vodka, looks amazing. Yes. And so yeah, people are loving it. So yeah, and they love the half and halves, Jasmine. People are feeling you on the half and half. So with that said, it's time to get into our vegan wings because yes, we're vegan now. We're not consuming animal products, but there is so much more variety, right? Wings can be made. This is just 5 different ways that we're going to show you how to make wings tonight. So without further ado, we are going to send it over to Jamila to kick it off with her wings recipe. Take it away, Jamila.
All right, welcome back to my stuff. So I'm making seitan wings, and if you don't know what seitan is, if you're new to veganism or plant-based eating, seitan is it's derived from Thailand. That's where the name comes from. So it sounds a little weird, but it's really just vital wheat gluten. So you can just buy that at your local market. And what it takes is you take 2 cups of that. I started a little early, y'all, because this recipe actually takes way longer than I expected. So what I did is I took 2 cups of the vital wheat gluten, put it right into a big, large bowl. And as I'm doing all this, I'm allowing a big pot of water to boil on my stove because yes, y'all, it involves kneading it like bread and it involves boiling it like vegetables. So it's a very, very interesting thing because when you see seitan, you look at it, it looks like any other type of like chicken strip or like a like a veggie beef type of situation. But no, seitan is more difficult than that. But this is not as hard as I expected. So I already got started. I put 2 cups of the vital wheat gluten into a large bowl, and it calls for garlic powder and some salt. But once again, I love myself some seasoning. So I not only have my garlic powder for it, I already tossed in that one as well. But I also put in onion powder. I put in some chili flakes because I like it spicy. And just like what I used earlier for my drink, I put in some Creole seasoning because once again, you can never go wrong with that. And it also calls for a few dashes of sea salt. So right now I am mixing that up in my bowl. On top of that, I have to add in slowly about 1.25 cups of vegetable broth. I always get the low sodium type. So I added all those into the bowl, spices included, and slowly added in my vegetable broth. And now I stirred it. And I need to show y'all what this looks like, because if you know what seitan looks like, it looks just as meaty and beefy, crumbly as you would think. So let me just try to show y'all a little bit. So from all these powders, this is how it turned out while stirring everything into the bowl. Wild. So what I have to do now, since it's too hard to stir and it turned into a clumpy texture, it calls for me kneading it with my hands. So I'm going to be kneading it with my hands, which is basically just like trying to squeeze it together, squeezing it into a large ball. Because when I put it into this large ball, as I knead it, I'm going to break off pieces from it, put it into little balls, form it into little balls, and drop it directly into my boiling pot of water. So once I put this into a large ball, I'm going to break off pieces, and I'm going to take you over to my stove and show y'all what I put into it. So yeah, once again, now it's turning into a large mass that looks really, really wild, but I can guarantee you that the end result is going to be delicious. Looks weird now, but you're going to like the turnout. And if I haven't mentioned earlier, I am going to be making barbecue wings. So you can also make your own barbecue sauce if you're, into that type of stuff. You can get your own. What I am using today is some Sweet Baby Ray's, because that is my thing, y'all. I love barbecue sauce. That is my favorite sauce, no matter what. Let me know in the comments if you're on that life about that life too. But I'm going to toss them in barbecue sauce towards the end of this. So right now, still kneading it into a ball, making sure that it's all clumped together. Okay. Perfect. A nice perfect ball. Okay, great. So let me just take y'all over to, my hands. Give me 1 second. Make sure I don't get seitan clumps all over my computer. So let me take y'all over to my stove and put the clumps into my large pot of boiling water. And on top of that, I have my oven preheated to 375 degrees, because after I boil this for about, let's say 30 minutes, maybe 30 minutes tops, after I boil all of this, I'm going to put it into strips and put it into my oven. So now I'm ripping it off, and actually this is more tough than I thought it was going to be. Whew. Okay, great. So the smaller chunks, the better, because seitan does expand when you boil it. So I'm just going to put it into little balls like so. Try not to make it too big. The last time I tried to do seitan a few years ago, it was a huge fail because I made it into larger clumps, and that did not work out well. So yes, I'm going to try to make it a little smaller and add it back into my large ball here. So this is how it'll look now. I think this should be good to go because it will once again expand in the water as it boils. So plopping it directly into my boiling pot of water, and I'm just going to keep repeating the process over and over again, trying to make sure that the clumps I'm getting and making are not going to be too large, so I don't have large seitan clumps expanding in my water. Woo! Takes a little muscle. Got to put your elbow in it. All right. Once again, about yay size. Putting it in, I'm going to repeat the process over and over again, and then leave it boiling for about 20 to 30 minutes. Okay? And I will check in with y'all when I'm done with that. I'm excited for this. Woo! No, I think you're muted.
Yes, you're on mute.
So are you at a good pause point on your recipe, Jamila?
I think so.
Okay, awesome. So with that said, I'm going to show you all how to make some delicious baked cauliflower wings. So let me get you into what we've got going on today. Okay, here we go. All right, so if you can hear a little bit of noise in the background, that's my air fryer heating up. But we are going to be making some sesame, soy, brown sugar glazed cauliflower wings. Now, I don't know about you, but I've been some places before and had some cauliflower wings that were very bland because they didn't season them. It was just cauliflower dipped in batter and fried. And while the texture sensation was good, it just needed a little bit more of something else. And also, I love the texture of fried cauliflower, but I just am not the person who's going to spend a lot of time frying anything in deep oil in my house. It's just, I'd rather find an easier way to do it. So these are going to be air fried, but you could also just bake them on a baking tray in the oven. But here's what you'll need to get started on infusing flavor into your cauliflower to make some delicious wings. So you need 1 head of cauliflower. So we use 1 head. I have done a little bit of beginning prep. So I washed my cauliflower, segmented it. So here we have about 1/2 head of cauliflower that I have, just broken up and cut up into florets that are about the size that I'm going to want to eat. And we're going to season them. Basically, what we're going to do is a quick marinade. Now, if you have an hour or two to do this, even if you want to do this overnight, they'll be that much more flavorful. But if you only have like 20 minutes to do this while you're doing something else in the kitchen or anything else in the house, that will be enough. It's going to make a difference. So we're going to start by seasoning this with aromatic spices. So I have some onion powder, I have garlic powder, I have some minced ginger, and a few other things. So I'm just going to list everything off as I add it to my bowl. But the special ingredient that I'm going to be using today is something called chickenless salt. So this is vegan chickenless salt. It's basically like a vegan chicken bouillon powder. So it's going to add some really nice, savory flavor to these cauliflower wings. That's going to help them have a little oomph, you know what I mean? We're going to drive home that wing theme. So I'm going to use about a 1/2 teaspoon of this. Now we have to be mindful of how much salt that we're using whenever we're making something. So I'm going to use 3 different salt sources. So I'm going to start off, moderately and use about a 1/2 teaspoon of this chicken salt. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. Just leave it out and you can use more of the other types of seasonings that we have going on here. So the next source of salt that I'm going to be using is just regular sea salt. I'm also going to use a 1/2 teaspoon of this. So just sprinkling that around. And it's good to start by getting the salt onto your vegetable because it draws the water out of your cauliflower, which opens it up so that the flavor can soak into it as it cooks. So we're putting our salt down first just to start get the liquids released from the cauliflower so that the flavors can start circulating. The third source of salt that I'm using today is soy sauce. So I'm going to use just about, 1.5 teaspoons of this, which is it's just under 1/2 tablespoon. But once again, I want to start to infuse the flavor at the base level, but I don't want to oversalt it because you're going to see repeats of a lot of these ingredients again in the glaze that I'm making. So we're just establishing a foundation for flavor in the cauliflower to start. So we've got that in. Now, let me go ahead and mix it just to get everything coated. And like I said, just allow all these different sources of salt to make contact with the surface of our cauliflower so that it can start drawing out excess water and start opening up the fibers in the cauliflower to receive the flavor that we're going to impart into it. So we've got it well mixed up. Looks pretty basic. And honestly, you could stop here if you want to keep it super simple. Honestly, that could be enough. But we're going to pump it up because we're here. Why not? So next, I'm going to go in with about a teaspoon of minced ginger, just because we're using some Asian flavors in our glaze today. So just boost that up a little bit more. This is actually raw minced ginger. You could use ground ginger powder or whatever you have available, but I just wanted to use it up since I had it in my fridge. The next thing that we're going to add in is some rice vinegar. So we're going to use 1 teaspoon of this. This is a little bit of acid that is once again going to help to tenderize this cauliflower, draw out the liquid, break down the fibers, add a little bit of another layer of flavor. And we're also going to be adding a little bit of plant milk, which is going to almost curdle the plant milk when it comes into contact with it. So you're making like a DIY buttermilk, but it's not buttermilk, it's all plant-based. So we've got our vinegar in. Next up, we're going to go in with about a tablespoon of oil. I have olive oil, so that's what I'm using, but you can use avocado oil. That's probably the most preferred oil I would use, or some grapeseed oil. They both have a high smoke point, so they don't turn when they're heated too quickly. But you could also leave the oil out. If you don't do oil, you don't have to use oil. You can leave it out, whatever your preference is. Okay, and then honestly, I think, oh no, garlic and onion. How can we forget those? So I'm going to go in with a teaspoon of each of those. I'm going to go in with 1 teaspoon of onion powder and 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. So very simple ingredients. Most of these things are things you probably already have in your pantry. And we're just taking advantage of that to create, like I said, a really good foundation of flavor in these cauliflower wings, because we don't want any bland cauliflower wings at all. Okay, so everything here is nicely coated and it's smelling really, really good already. That ginger is what really shot it over the top. So I'm excited. I know these are going to turn out beautifully once I get them into the oven. Okay, so just to give you a close-up, this is the transformation our cauliflower has undergone so far. Okay, and so now we're going to add a little bit of plant milk, because what this marinade is going to do, it's going to turn into the wet batter for our cauliflower wings after it soaks a little bit. So I'm just going to take about a 1/4 cup of this plant milk. This one is really interesting. I ordered it from an online grocery store, but it's called Not Milk, and it is formulated to basically taste like whole milk, but it's completely plant-based. So this is not like your most health-conscious plant milk, but I think it's fun to use in a recipe like this where we're like mimicking takeout, because it's like, you know, we're going for comfort food, we're kicking back. Of course, we want to eat healthfully, but sometimes it's cool to indulge and you can make little adjustments. So I did a 1/4 cup of this. And once again, I'm just going to stir it around one more time, because we want all those flavors that are on the cauliflower to get intermingled with the plant milk as well. And we really just want this cauliflower to just get nice and wet and soak up. So if you're only going to marinate this for like 30 minutes, you could just put it in a lid on it, and you can leave it on your counter for 30 minutes. But if you want to go longer, like 2 hours, 4 hours, put a lid on it and put it in your fridge, and it's going to get nice and tender. And this is a nice way to do this if you want to have like wings on deck, because you can just make a whole bunch of cauliflower and have it marinating, and then just make them as you want them over the course of like a weekend. So they're always fresh and crispy whenever you eat them, right? So we've got our lovely marinade here. Here we go. So I'm going to set this aside because I did a little bit of prep work. I have, let's see, can you see it? I have this cauliflower. This one has been marinating now for about 20 minutes. So the aroma is that much stronger. Everything has intermingled really, really nicely. Okay. And so what we're going to do now is add our dry ingredients to convert this marinade into a wet batter. So you could take the cauliflower out, whisk until smooth, do all that if you want to, but I like to cut corners when it makes sense, if it helps us to cut down on time in the kitchen. So I'm just going to add it straight on in. So I'm going to add about a 1/4 cup of flour into this bowl. So I'm using a grain-free flour. This is a blend of cassava and cauliflower and fonio flours. You can use whatever flour. You can use whole wheat. You can use regular wheat. You can use rice flour, whatever you want. We're just making this wet batter. So like I said, I'm going to use about a 1/4 cup of this. Get that on in. Okay. Put that aside. And then I'm going to use starch. So starch is the key to getting super duper crispy anything that you're making. If you want a crispy batter, a crispy coating on whatever you're making, add some starch. So cornstarch works well, tapioca starch works well, but today I'm using some potato starch. So this is something I picked up at the Asian market the last time I went. So it says sweet potato starch, but it really doesn't matter what kind. This is super duper crispy. And I'm adding just a tablespoon of this, a generous tablespoon, but a tablespoon. All right. Let's just make sure we don't make a huge mess. And we're going to sit that to the side. And then we're going to take our spoon and we're just going to mix this through. So like I said, we're just going to mix this until our cauliflower is evenly coated. Okay. And it's going to start to thicken up almost immediately, that batter. So it's converting into a wet batter. And this is an alternative to frying by just baking it in the oven. If you want to get it even more crispy, we're going to do this, which is add another tablespoon of our oil into this wet batter. So as opposed to like cooking it in oil, we just infuse some more oil into the batter. So it gets more crispy, makes it richer, get that tenderness that you're looking for, all good things, but you're still using a fraction of the oil that you would use if you were deep frying. Okay, so this looks excellent. Everything's well mixed. I don't see any more dry bits of the flour. So I think we are good to go on this. So now here I have a baking sheet. So like I said, I'm using my air fryer. So I have to use a smaller pan, which is why I'm using like a half a head of cauliflower as opposed to the whole thing. But we're just going to put our cauliflower down onto the baking sheet. Now, if you want a thicker batter, add more flour. You can see that this is a very loose batter. So if you want it to be thicker, go ahead, add even more flour. You could up it to like a third cup of flour in addition to the tablespoon of starch. You could add 2 tablespoons of the starch, whatever you prefer. But I like a nice light batter on my cauliflower wings so that it gets good and crispy on the outside, but it's not too thick. Sometimes I've had baked cauliflower wings and it's like almost kind of doughy on the outside. So I'm not a big fan of that. And I like to be able to see the texture come through. So that's my approach. But as always, in your kitchen, customize to your preference. Okay. Got this going. I think I can fit them all. That's excellent. This worked out perfectly. All right. Beautiful. All right, so we got everything out. So now we have our pan of battered cauliflower on our baking sheet, and you want to put this into a preheated 400 to 425 degree oven. Cook it for about 30 minutes. Cook each side for about 15 minutes and flip. And then if you want it to get even browner, you can cook it a little bit longer, or if you want to up it to 425 degrees, you can do that too. Whatever you like works. So here you go. I will be putting this in the oven, and after everyone makes their rounds on the recipes, I will be back to show you how to make our delicious glaze and coat these golden brown goodies. All right, and we are back. Jess, are you ready to show?
I am, yes.
Okay, beautiful. All right, so please take it away, and if possible, to tilt your camera down a little bit so people can see what you're doing. As you
now, I did have a question. So, Jess, I saw that milk in the stores, and I saw that they also had a skim version. Like, how does that milk taste?
It's okay. So, it's the closest thing I've had to whole milk since I've been vegan. It's really close. The texture, the flavor is neutral. You know how like rice milk or coconut milk or almond milk can have like a little bit of that background flavor? It's very neutral. Mm-hmm. The only thing is they use some sort of like pineapple enzyme in it to help it like gently ferment to get that flavor. So you can kind of taste it if you're just drinking it straight. But if you use it in a recipe, I've been making chai lattes with it. I've been using it in smoothies. You can't even taste it. So it's pretty cool. It's kind of freaky, but it's really cool.
Okay, yeah. I gotta check it out.
Yeah. All right, Jess, we're ready for you.
All right.
Okay, here you go.
Welcome back to me. So, cooking is a wonderful thing, right? But let's say you're in a GIF and you don't have time, or you just don't feel like it. So I am going to show you the joy and abundance of pre-made vegan wings. So you can either get vegan wings from a restaurant, from a store. It's really amazing the abundance nowadays of how much is available. In March, it'll be my 15th year of being vegan, and to see how much availability it is, whether restaurants or store bought, it is really amazing. So I just want to show you a little bit how you can do both. So what I'm going to show you first is restaurant wings. So I went to a restaurant, well, we're Maryland based in Baltimore. So there's a restaurant located in the neighborhood of Seitan called the Kitchen. And they are 100% vegan. And it happens to be Baltimore's only 100% vegan deli. So they have things like chicken wings and cold cut sandwiches and pizzas and desserts. So if you're ever in the Maryland or Baltimore area, I suggest you check it out. So I just want to show you what I got here. So the wings that they come in 10-piece and 5-piece, and you can get them original, sweet chili, barbecue, or buffalo. I went for the original wings, so they come like this, and I'm just gonna plate it up. And so they come in a box. So look how crispy they are in that color. So this is the 10-piece. So if you order this, I think 10 is a pretty good portion. So for the original wings, they also come with a side of dipping sauce, and it is a chipotle lime mayo. The sweet chili is good too, but for today, I have the original. I'm also going to tell you a little bit about the sauce. So the chipotle lime mayo, like I said, comes with it. So the Greener Kitchen also has a sister company called Plant-Bliss, and they make vegan sauces, spreads, cheeses, and you can also buy those in store. So if you're at the Greener Kitchen, you can go ahead and pick up a bottle of, let's say, mayo, mac cheese sauce, cheese, ranch. So yeah, I just wanted to show you. This is called Plant-Bliss, and you see the chipotle mayo. So this is really good. It adds a little kick, but also you get the hint of lime, so that's really good. And this comes with the original and a sweet chili. And here's our blue cheese. So you can purchase this at the Greener Kitchen, and they will be coming soon on their website at plantblissfoods.com. So I have it plated up here. I just want to give you a look. And look at that. I mean, you want to be able to tell the difference, right? So I have the chipotle lime mayo there. And like I said, this is the 10-piece from the Greener Kitchen in Pigtown in Baltimore. So that's about it. I mean, everybody else is doing cooking, but we also wanted to give you a vantage point of how you can get pre-made. When you come back to me, I will show you some buffalo wings that are store-bought, and I'll cook those up for you. Give it a look.
I am so jealous because those wings are so good.
I was about to say.
I love a good crispy wing.
Also, I just want to let you know they reheat really well. I got these earlier in the day, and all I did was put them in the oven about 400 for like 10 minutes, and they're really good. It doesn't lose the texture. Let me do this.
Crunch test. I'm jealous.
Oh my God.
Look at that.
Yeah, that looks good.
I mean, vegan wings, it's just amazing what type of texture you can get from Seitan. And these ones happen to be made of a combination of Seitan and tofu. And they fry them and crisp them up, and that's what you get.
I've never seen vegan wings that crispy.
I know.
They really perfected their recipe at the Greener Kitchen. I know that behind the scenes they have worked on getting the right texture, and also to have them stored. So yeah, if you're ever in Baltimore, check them out. They're in Pigtown, 803 Washington Boulevard. And of course, support your vegan restaurants wherever you are in the country. You know?
Yeah, I was about to say, if you have a spot that you go to for vegan wings or tenders, drop it in the comments because you never know who's watching from your city. And we travel and things like that too. So to have your recommendations on where we can get some good vegan tenders or wings when we are on the road would be great. So yeah, if you're watching, let us know. It's also just great that if you want that and you don't feel like doing all the extra work, there are places now that you can get them. So it's a beautiful thing. So thanks for sharing that, Justin. We look forward to seeing your
Now be
other.
back with the Buffalo store-bought ones. So I'm excited for those too because I haven't tried those before. So we'll see.
Awesome. Okay.
Absolutely.
Ray, you ready to show us what you're throwing down with the jackfruit in your kitchen?
I am. Let's get it cracking. Pardon the pun. All right, y'all. There are some things that can be perceived as a little intimidating when it comes to cooking with. Seitan is one of them. I was able to make like a vegan steak once. It took some work. Jamila's done a great job just showing you different ways that you can do it. Actually made it look pretty simple. I the one time, but I will try it again based on how Jamila made it look. So what I am cooking with is jackfruit. Now, some people have heard of it and they're like, I don't know what it is. It looks really weird. And some are like, I don't know how it tastes. So there's two different ways that you can get the jackfruit. One of the jackfruits, if you just check a look online, it's a really big, huge, like watermelon sized thing with like pricks and sticks in it that looks like if you put your hand on it, it might hurt you. That's the whole fruit. And some people might think to get that to try this, but you don't want to do that because it's really, really sweet. Now, the canned jackfruit, that actually has a brine because it's been sitting in brine, has like a more neutral flavor. So that's what you want to work with when you're trying to do recipes like the one we're doing. Because it's a neutral flavor. It doesn't have the sweetness. But I do recommend the fruit of jackfruit if you want to actually like taste some. Okay. So I use 2 cans for this recipe. 20-ounce cans. You can find them in size. Mine from Trader Joe's. They're 20 ounce. I have the line that they have some brands that are 14 ounce. So free to do what you want with it. It's 2 cans. Actually got 24 pieces, and they're going to be chunks, and I'm going to show it to you in a little bit. What I did for the preparation, and this depends on the doing. You can use jack so many ways. You can do like barbecue, pulled chicken, pulled pork type of mix. You can do a pot roast. I definitely suggest you try to look up recipes. Right? It goes over great. Or you can do like I'm doing with chicken, or you can do so many other things. As far as execution, if you're going to do something where you're actually just cooking the jackfruit that doesn't require brine like I've done tonight, my suggestion is to actually soak it. What I do is I rinse it from the can. I stick it with a cap of apple cider vinegar for maybe 2 to 3 hours just to try to get the sweetness out of it. And then I actually boil mine in like a vegan chicken or vegan beef bouillon, depending on when I'm doing pot roast. I use vegan beef bouillon to actually get that flavor in there saturated. Then I go ahead and prepare other. I'm gonna do like a pulled chicken, pulled pork, a pot roast, whatever. So that's a good tip to take, because if you try to cook it straight from the can, it's just gonna have that kind of taste that you can't point out that doesn't make it right. Now, because I did this chicken, I put it in a brine. Okay, so the brine, it kind of allows whatever you put in the liquid to kind of take the flavor. I'm not going to show you that step. I am going to tell you what I did, because for the brine, I like the brine sit about 4 hours. If you're going to try and do chicken with something that's a little more dense, like oyster mushrooms, then I would recommend you let it sit overnight. But because jackfruit is so very thin, you only need it to do for just a couple hours. So with my brine, I used milk. You can use something like a neutral milk, whatever, have soy milk or cashew milk or what have you. And then you have to put the seasonings in it. I put some pepper, I put some onion powder, I put garlic powder, I put some salt, sea salt in there. And actually, you've seen this this from Trader Joe's. It's the vegan chickenless salt. Honey, it is good, okay? But I do have bad news. I heard that they're going to pull this off. I don't know if they're pulling it off temporarily or what, But if you have a Trader Joe's local to you, go ahead stack up. Because depending on what I'm cooking, I like this a lot better than a vegan bouillon cube. Like it really saturates, gives that like chicken broth type saturated feel with the flavor. You know what I mean? And the other thing that I put in the milk and seasonings mixture, hot sauce. Okay. Now that goes together along with a capful of cider vinegar. And I'm going to rewind a little bit. When I do my milk mixture, apple cider vinegar, the capful per cup creates a vegan, so it allows the flavor to soak in really good. Now, when you're preparing your jackfruit straight from the can, I'm going to show you what it looks like. But for me, you see these here? They're the seeds. And I don't like the combination of the seeds in there. I'm really big on texture. So this can be big or small. I pluck them out. I can't do it. I like it when I'm into something. I don't want something that's like a little chewy. It's not hard. It's just chewy. I can't do it. So I take them out. So I let it sit in the brine for about hours or so. And before I get ready for frying, I take it to let it get room temperature because it's going to go to the flour. And then I'm going to go ahead and put it into the oil. And you don't want anything cold really in the oil because it's going to cook. You know what I mean? I think it is saturated. So with my seasonings, everything came great. I'm just going to show a piece of what the jackfruit actually looks like. And I hope you can see the seasoning on there. You see that little black? That's my flavor. You see that little? That means it's going to taste good when I finish. So then, now that I've drained the brine and I have these jackfruit pieces that are so deliciously pre-seasoned, you get your flour mixture ready for frying. Now you can use a container, use a paper bag, anything. When I was younger, growing up, I used the paper bag and then you put the plastic bag over it and you get your shake on. But that's what I have, and I can also rinse it out and reuse it depending. So I have my flour. I use all-purpose flour. It seems to fry better. If you're doing something that's gluten-free, I'd recommend maybe doing like if you're going per cup, maybe 3/4 gluten-free flour, and then a cup of like a cornstarch to help that good frying effect, that all-purpose flour, just to keep a note for that. So with my flour, I'm adding seasoning out. So what I'm going to do is add a little bit of celery seed, and I might be giving away a little bit of seeds, but that's okay. Celery seed, I'm going to put some garlic powder. Oregano. And a touch of onion powder. And you can put salt, pepper if you want. I'm not. Here's some options that you can do. If you want Cajun flavor to your chicken, you can use one of the Slap Your Mamas. These are pretty easy in the stores. They were very popular. You could use nutritional yeast and give it a kind of like a cheater type of thing. I wouldn't do that, but I have seen some people recommend it. I'm not interested in trying it, but whatever suits you, you do it. I'm going to use the seasoned salt. Okay, not the seasoned salt. It's a staple in the family, sure, but Lowry's baby. So I'm gonna shake that in there, and then of course you gotta mix a little flour stuff up, get that mixed up, and you don't have enough seasonings if you can't see the seasonings in the flour. So lucky for me, I did season it up and I can see the seasonings. And I will take my jackfruit, mixing that in there. You know the game, put it in there. You shake it up real good so you feel like real confident yourself. Get it shaking. Now, as far as frying, you want to have a high smoke point. Now, I don't know if any of you had this or heard this trick when you were doing your cooking or learning to cook, but there could be a tip saying that if you put like a butter, oil, it'll help your whatever you're frying come out with a golden color. The thing about that is, if you're using vegan butter with like vegetable oil based or anything like that, they have a lower smoke point. So when you're cooking on flame, going to start burning a little quicker than if you had an oil that had a higher smoke point. So you have all the grimy stuff in the bottom of the pan, and it makes it icky when you're trying to, and then So I use spun cocoa. Now this is a combination of sunflower oil and coconut oil. It's the highest smoke point, and it also has a neutral taste. You can also use grapeseed, which has a very high smoke point as well, and a neutral taste, whichever one. Me personally, I like to use this for frying, and I prefer grapeseed for like a saute or something like that. So when you're, depending on the size of your pan, or if you're doing like a frying pot or something like that, you can do about an inch or two. So I put roughly about an inch or so, and I've got my oil that's got the golden brown shimmer going on right behind me. And I am going to start on my flour mixture. So when you come back, you'll see some delicious looking jackfruit pieces.
Yes, I'm so excited to see how these jackfruit wings turn out, Ray. Yes. The seasonings were on point. You had all, I'm like, yep. So I know they're going to taste really good. And with that said, it's time for Jasmine to do her thing and show us the vegan wings she'll be preparing. So take it away, Jasmine.
All right. So everyone, about a year ago, I've been vegan for almost 12 years now. And in those 12 years, I was one of those people that were always like, I hate mushrooms. I don't want to eat mushrooms. They look funny. They are a little iffy. Another name for them is fungi, so I don't want anything to do with them. But just last summer, one of my friends, encouraged me to go ahead and try them. She made some air fried mushrooms for me. And I tried them and I was blown away. They were so good, and I lied to you not, I've had mushrooms every meal since the summertime. They're so good. So for my wings tonight, I'm using mushrooms as the base. So I'm using a mixture of oyster mushrooms. They look like this. So you can even go ahead and just use this and fry it up better like you would chicken, and fry it up, and it tastes good. But I'm gonna go ahead and use a combination of mushrooms and some other things. So I'm using the oyster mushrooms, and then I have some shiitake mushrooms. It looks like this. So I went ahead and I shredded them up. I used a fork, and I got this nice little shredded texture that looks like this. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and add that to my bowl. And this is just about a half cup of oyster mushrooms, a half cup of shiitake mushrooms. I'm just gonna go ahead and put that in a bowl like so. All right, next up, I'm gonna be using some TVP. It's also called textured vegetable protein. And this is the brand that I use. I just boiled it with some vegetable broth to help rehydrate it. So I'm just go ahead and add that to my mushrooms. Right, next up, I just went ahead and mashed some chickpeas, and that's about a half cup of chickpeas there. I mashed them with a potato masher. I'm gonna go ahead and add that to my bowl. Okay, so here's everything in this bowl, kind of packed, but I'm gonna go ahead, use my hands, and start mixing it together. All right. So one of the things with making like vegan meats or vegan baked goods is how does everything bind together. So I went ahead and I made a little flax egg. It's sort of like a gel-like substance to help keep everything together. So I'm gonna just go ahead. You see it has like this gel-like consistency. I'm gonna go ahead and add that into my mixture. I'm actually gonna put everything bigger. Put that all in. I'm gonna mix that all together. And sometimes people like to use, like when I talked about using egg to help bind everything together. And chickpeas and the liquid is called aquafaba. So some people even use aquafaba to help with that bonding process. But I'm gonna go ahead and just use my flax egg. I'm gonna just go ahead and mix everything together. If you don't like getting your hands dirty, I know Jamila was a little, when she was mixing her seitan. I can definitely relate to that because seitan can be a little sticky. But I'm going to use my hand just so I can get everything well incorporated in my mixture. I'm going to go ahead and add, I made a homemade gluten-free flour. I blended up some oats. I blended up some dried chickpeas, and I added some almond flour. So back here I have all those ingredients. So my dried chickpeas, I just put them into my Vitamix. My oats, I blended it until it was nice and fine. And then I already had some already blended almond flour. I just mixed up, and you can definitely play around with the combination to get a flour that you like, but this is what it looks like. A little bit of focus in. I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of flour to my mixture. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some tapioca flour to that, just 1 tablespoon. Just again, tapioca helps to thicken up your mixture. Okay, now while I'm at it, I'm gonna go ahead and add my seasonings in. I just have some Italian blend. I'm almost out, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use the last bit of that. I have some Himalayan pink salt, some garlic powder, some onion powder, and then this is a nice little seasoning that I found last summer. It's called umami. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. Somebody let me know if you know how the right pronunciation for this. But I'm just gonna go ahead and add that in. And it's just sort of like a mushroom seasoning. So it has mushroom, onion spices, sea salt, onion, ground mustard seed, porcini mushroom powder, white button mushroom powder, crushed red pepper, black pepper, and thyme leaves. I'm just gonna go ahead and add a generous amount of that to my mixture. All right, and then because I'm from Maryland, from Baltimore, for good measure, I'm going to add a little sprinkle of my Old Bay. And no crab, shrimp, or chicken was harmed for this seasoning. Old Bay is vegan though. All right, so I'm going to go in and start incorporating all those seasonings and the flours that I added in. I'm just going to mix it all together until everything looks like it's, well incorporated. Okay. All right, y'all. So this is what it's looking like. It's a little gross right now, but it will come together, I promise you. So I already went ahead and I greased up my pan. I'm going to go ahead and set that down. I already preheated my oven to 425, so that's heating up now. But I'm just gonna go ahead and take my mixture and turn it into like little tender-like pieces. Okay, so it'll look just like that. Okay. You gotta get down and dirty, get these nice little pieces. Alright. And it's looking a little weird, but I promise y'all it tastes good when the flavors all come together. Alright. So once you get all those pieces together, you're gonna go ahead and bake that 15 minutes on each side. Flip it halfway between. And then once you put it in the oven and you flip it, you're ready to go ahead and take it back out and move to the frying process. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this in the oven really quickly. This is what it's looking like, y'all. Pop that right in the oven. So while it's in there, I'm gonna go ahead and start on my fries. So I'm using a nice red potato right here on my hands. Let me wash it off. So anybody talking about me in the comments. Alright, my hands are all clean. Alright, so I already went ahead and I diced up my fries into little fry-like pieces, and that's what it looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take my olive oil. Give a nice little generous amount of oil over the fries. Of course, I love my Old Bay, so I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle some Old Bay on them. And I'm gonna go in and just make sure that the oil coats all of the fries evenly so they can crisp up when they're in the oven. And that's so simple, y'all. Y'all have nice homemade fries. You don't have to go to any fast food spot. You can just go get some potatoes. You probably have them already in your pantry. You can pick them up from the grocery store. And then you have some Old Bay fries. You can season them how much you want, add as much salt as you want, as little salt as you want, and you know exactly what's going in them. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop these in the oven. All right, and that's it for me for now until we come back to a part 2.
So thanks for sharing the first part of your preparation with us. That looks so good. We have some more people tuning in. Beatrix says that Vegan-ish is a Black-owned vegan wings tenders place that is on 52nd Street in Philly, if you're ever in Philly. And then Detroit has a vegan soul food restaurant called Vegan Soul, if you're ever in Detroit. So we got Philly in the house, Detroit in the house, repping with the vegan wings and things.
Actually, I have a funny story about the Detroit Vegan Soul. So Afro-Vegan Society, back when we first began in about 2017 or 2018, we did something called a soul food search. And we went across like the southeast of the US in search of Black-owned vegan food. We went to the Midwest and all that type of stuff as far as we could go. Jasmine, I'm sure you remember that. That was so much fun. And one of the first places we went to was Vegan Soul in Detroit, and it was fantastic. So thanks for that, Tori.
Awesome. Well, yes, we have all made progress. I think it's just so amazing to see how many different ways we can prepare this food. Like we've got seitan, we've got mushrooms, we got jackfruit, we've got carrot, we've got cauliflower. So like these are just a few, and it's all about celebration and enjoyment and not about restriction. So you can find new ways to innovate with your food and have new food experiences and also honor the dishes that you love while eating plants. So I think it's just so amazing to see everybody doing their thing in the kitchen and showing us how it's done. And like I said, if you have a favorite wings recipe, a blog, or cookbook that you'd like to make wings from, drop it in the comments, share that information, share those resources. And with that said, we're coming back to Jamila, and she is going to show us what's going on with the wings she got us started with. So here we go. We're coming to you.
All right. Yes, y'all. Welcome back to Seitan Wings. So as you know, before that, I mixed up my seitan, had it in a huge bowl, took up the clumps, and put it into some boiling water on my stove. So while that was boiling, I let it cool in my fridge because now I'm going to have to use my hands once more to form more of a wing style to put in my oven. So give me 1 second. I'm going to go to my fridge because they basically just started, they just finished up. And if I have to touch them and they just got done boiling, I'm not trying to burn my hands. So I put it in my fridge to let it boil. Oh, excuse me, the opposite of boil, cool. And right here, I have my baking sheet. I use parchment paper so I can use as little oil as possible, but it does call for oil to drizzle on top of the seitan wings. So here they are. I put it in a little bowl. Let me just show y'all real quick what my results were. So I told y'all they expanded. I tried to make them as small as possible, and they're still a little hot. So let's see what I can do with the skin on my hands. So yep, they're little chunks, and they look similar to what you would find in a vegan restaurant. So now that I have my baking sheet, parchment paper, I preheated my oven while it was boiling to 375. So you can do that. And now it is time to form the wings to put onto my baking sheet so I can bake them for about 20 minutes. So once again, they're a little hot. Please cool them for longer where you're at. I'm so used to burning my hands since I like to cook, so it ain't nothing for me right now. Okay, great. So another reason why I need to not only just transfer them, but I need to use my hands is because I want to squeeze as much water as possible out of these wings because they've been boiling. And I noticed that like seitan is very, very porous and spongy. If you've noticed that as well, if you went to a vegan restaurant. So yeah, I'm gonna do my best to squeeze as much water as I can out of these wings. So they're not gonna be, I want them to be stiff and firm when they are baking in the oven. So let's see what happens. I'm just gonna take, oh, it's fine. Take one of them, squeeze as much as I can out of it in my bowl. Oh, not bad. Not bad at all. Okay, great. And I don't want them to just be chunks, so I want them to be wing-like. So not only am I going to squeeze the water out of them as much as I can, very firmly. I'm not trying to like, you know, it's kind of like silly putty, but I'm not trying to have it squeezed through my hands. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just squeezing them very firmly, very gently to make sure any water is coming out. And surprisingly, there is. At first, I thought it was going to be nothing, but yes, water is definitely coming out. And as I do that, I'm also trying to form it into a little bit of a like cylindrical, like rectangular shape so they can resemble wings or boneless wings or anything like that. Vegan boneless wings, of course. Great, great. So this is what I'm going to have so far. Okay, cool. I want them to be a little longer, so I might squeeze it a little more. And I'm sure once they are in the oven, they're probably gonna like expand a little more and have more of a better shape. So I'm not gonna stress too much about that. And honestly, even if you wanted circular wings, do you? We're not judging you. Okay, great. So I'm just gonna repeat that process over and over again and place it onto my baking sheet. Okay, great. And once I do that, once I repeat the process over and over again, I'm going to put it directly into my oven. Once again, it is at 375 degrees. And bake that for about 20 minutes. And then I'm going to flip it over and bake it for another 20 minutes. So yeah, honestly, that was a really quick like update. But by the time I come back, they'll definitely be wings. So yep, that's it for me for now. So stay tuned.
All right, these wings are looking like a labor of love, Jamila, but I'm sure they're going to be super delicious when we come back to you again. Mm-hmm. So I am going to come on back and show you what our cauliflower wings are looking like and show you how to put together this glaze. So let me take on over. And here we go. So things have changed in my kitchen since the last time you saw me. I have everything set up to move to the next stage of this recipe. So let me get myself together here. So my cauliflower has finished cooking off in my air fryer, and it is nice and crispy and golden brown on the outside. Okay, so that is ready, good to go. So now it's time to make our brown sugar sesame soy glaze. So I have here some extra dark brown sugar, and it is thick. It was kind of hard, so I added a little bit of water to it just to soften it up, and I added some extra molasses. So that's why we have the extra dark brown sugar going on right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this into a pan that has been heating over medium heat for, until it's warm. So already that is sliding on our pan. And what we're going to do is like caramelize this to make a nice sticky glaze. So we've got our sweet feature. Now it's time to get in some other flavors. So I'm just eyeballing this, and we're going to add in about 1.5 tablespoons of our rice wine vinegar. Okay, so get some tang going. Then I'm going to add in about 1.5 tablespoons of our soy sauce. You could also use coconut aminos, soy aminos. You could use tamari sauce if you're gluten-free. All of these are great options. And now that we have these liquids in, I'm just going to stir it. Ooh, it's getting steamy. You got to stand up for this. But it's already starting to come together, melting down. A nice, rich, deep color. So I'm going to let this get to work. Okay, got this glaze going. And now it's time to go in again with our aromatic flavors. So first up, can't have sesame soy cauliflower wings without some sesame oil. So I'm going to use about a teaspoon of this. It's a very potent in flavor oil. So I'm using a teaspoon of our sesame oil here. Then I'm going to go in with a teaspoon of garlic powder. You could use fresh minced garlic if you like, or some garlic paste, but I have garlic powder, so that's what I'm using. We're also going to go, ooh, the smell just hit me. It smells so good. And then we're also going to go in with a teaspoon of our onion powder. Okay, just to get things started here. We're not playing with the flavor. This is a serious thing we're doing, you know? So everything is cooled down in my pan. It's not as active as it was. So I'm gonna go ahead, crank the heat up closer to medium high. Obviously, you just want to keep an eye on your pan and adjust it as needed. But we just want that sizzling to continue. And we want to cook some of the water, some of the liquid out of this sauce so that it gets stickier and those flavors become even more concentrated. We don't want to make like a hard caramel. So we do have to keep an eye on it. This whole process is maybe going to take like 5 minutes total. So you just want to keep your eye on it, keep constantly stirring. The center of my pan seems to be warmer than the edges, so I'm just stirring the liquid from the edges into the center constantly just to keep it moving. And you can see that rich, deep color from that extra dark brown sugar and that soy sauce and that sesame oil coming together. Okay, so we've got this nice and high. So now it's time for a taste test. We put in our base flavors. Now we're going to see if we need to do any adjustments. I think that's off to a great start. I'm going to go in with a little bit more of our soy sauce. So I started off with about 1.5 tablespoons. I'm going to go in with about another tablespoon. And then I'm going to eyeball just a few shakes of sea salt. We really want to up the savory flavors because that brown sugar is nice and sweet, but we don't want this to be too sugary, right? We want this to be nice with lots of dimension and flavor. So if I had to guess, I would say that was about 1/8 teaspoon. But like I said, just do a couple shakes, taste as you go, constantly adjust. You're going to get it where you want it. All right, and this is thickened up very rapidly, so I'm actually going to turn my heat right back on down. We're trying to keep that balance between, you know, having a sauce that is loose, but we don't want it to be too thick, right? So we don't want it to be runny, but we don't want it to be too thick. But here's a telltale sign, okay? When I'm running my spoon through the middle, the gap stays. So it's separating, so we know it's thickening quite a bit so that it's getting to a good spot. So give this one more stir. Make sure everything is nice and stirred around. It's hot. Oh, wow, that's so good. Okay. It almost has like teriyaki vibes a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and add in some of this minced ginger. I would say about a teaspoon. I wasn't going to add it originally, but it's here. So why not use it? Just give it a little bit more pungency, a little bit more punch. All right, so we got our ginger in here. And we're essentially just trying to get that heated through. But this has gotten to the perfect thickness, I think. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and cut my heat and put my cauliflower right on into the pan. And then I am gently going to toss it in here. So we waited to add our sesame oil and our brown sugar. We didn't include that in the wet batter, but it's really going to shine sitting on the outside. But when we bite through, we get that sticky, tangy, savory glaze. And then when we keep chewing, we got that nice savory foundation that we put in when we marinated our cauliflower. So it's nice and beautiful. These are fall off the stem tender. No bones here. We got stems though. So these are fall off the stem tender cauliflower wings. And I'm just going to put them on this nice black plate. Let's see. All right, so we got those here. I'm going to unplug this so I can have a little bit more space to do my little garnishes. Okay. All right, so here we have our plate. I'm going to just get these placed right where I want them. Spread them out a bit, stack them up a bit. Oh my gosh, these look so good. Okay, so we're calling these cauliflower wings, but you could also definitely eat this as like, you know, something with rice, maybe even with some pasta. Before I start sprinkling though, here in this dish I have white sesame seeds, black sesame seeds, and some chili flakes. So this is kind of just a garnish. It's going to reinforce the sesame in here, right? So people know what is in the dish that they're eating. Chefs always say that they garnish with ingredients that like give a clue as to what's inside. So these white sesame seeds are letting it be known that this is all about the sesame. So we got sesame, soy, and then these red chili flakes on top. They're also going to add some really nice texture. And then to brighten things up, I'm going to go over with my scallions. I have sliced up one scallion really thinly and putting that right on top. Okay. And let me show you the final plating of these delicious sesame, soy, brown sugar glaze, cauliflower wings. So, so good. Can't wait to do a taste test with everybody once they finish up their recipes. So with that said, let's go back to the team and see where we're at with our recipes. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Hey. All right, so Jess, are you ready to show us how to put together?
Yes, I'm very ready.
All right, here you go.
Okay, so if you're just tuning in, I am showcasing how you can have vegan wings, but you're cooking them like the rest of the team is doing, or you might want to buy them from a store or a restaurant. So earlier I showed from a restaurant, and the restaurant is here in Baltimore, called the Greener Kitchen, which is located in Pigtown. So their wings look like this. So these are the original crispy wings, but now I'm going to show you how to make store-bought wings. Now the abundance is amazing. Pretty much nowadays you could get them in your local supermarket. So I was on social media and I saw these wings that they were all the rage, and a lot of vegans were talking about them. So these are called light chicken wings, right? And this is the buffalo variety. So this is my first time having them as well, and I'm very excited. So I found these at Sam's Club, and they are 100% vegan, of course. And according to their store locator, you can also get them from ShopRite, Sprouts, Target. But I found these ones at Sam's, and you can see, of course, Sam's comes in bulk, and this is a pretty big bag. So as far as preparation, so on the back, of course, pre-made wings, vegan wings always come with directions. Now it says for best results, you want to bake them, which I chose to do, but you can also put them in an air fryer or a microwave. So I put mine in the oven, and the directions say to put them, you want to preheat your oven to 425, which I did, and 6 minutes on each side. And it says to reach an internal temperature at 165. Now, these are like chicken wings, but of course there are so many on the market now. So many different brands and varieties. And I want you to notice how different vegan chicken wings can look. Now, you see these on the photo, but of course I'll show you once they come out of the oven. These are wings, and wings can look so different, but of course they're all vegan, which is amazing how many different varieties they can. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull mine out of the oven. I've had them in there for 6 minutes on each side, and now they're just in there to be warm before I take them out. So let's see how they look. You just want to put them in on a cookie sheet, and of course with your oven mitt. So look at these. Now, if you saw the store-bought, the restaurant-bought wings that I had, they looked quite different, right? But these are wings as well. So now, since these are the buffalo wings variety, they come with a sauce, of course. And per directions, it says that you want to. Now, for this bulk package, which I got at Sam's Club, let's see, I have 3 in here, and it's 1 more in the package, so they come with 4. And I'm going to show you what they look like. So this is the sauce packet, and this flavor is buffalo. So all you do to heat these up is put them in some hot water on the stove, which I did. So I'm going to give them a shake, and then I'm going to put them in a mixing bowl, and then we're going to toss the wings. I mean, I just love the variety. Wings come in all different flavors, and so if you go to your local supermarket, you can really find all types. I think buffalo wings are perfect, for like a party, and if you love that spice. So this is what the sauce packet looks like. So it's quite hot. I've just had it sitting in some hot water. So I'm gonna give it a little shake just to combine everything. And I have my bowl over here. I'm gonna give you another look at the wings. So I had these at $4.25, in the oven for 6 minutes on each side. It also says until the internal temperature reaches 165 if you have like a food thermometer. But here's how they look. And we're gonna toss these in our buffalo sauce. Alright, so I have about, let's see how many wings I have here. I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I have about 12. So let's try 2. So I'm gonna have 2 of the sauce packets, which I steeped in hot water. That comes with it. Now, of course, you could use any type of sauce you want, but just for the integrity of the product, you know, I'm gonna do a buffalo style. I like buffalo wings, by the way, so pretty good, you know. I'm also pairing them with blue cheese, so I'll get more into the vegan blue cheese that I have in a minute. So right now, I'm just cutting it with some scissors. And then once again, I am preparing the brand. The brand is called Like Meat, but the product is called Like Meat. And I found them at Samsung, but you can get them at Sprouts, Target, or ShopRite. So, for the sauce, I cut it into a bowl. And the directions say that you want to give them a good toss. Let them come out of the oven and to evenly coat your buffalo wings. So, I don't know if you can see it steaming there. I'll have the buffalo, you know, let me do the third pack because we want to really coat it to get that flavor. So, this is the buffalo sauce packet that came with the wings. A little cut. And I pour it on into the bowl. All right, we'll squeeze to get all of it. And you know, you can be creative if you're not into spice. Well, I'm not sure how spicy they are, but if you're not into spice, you could pair these wings with whatever sauce you would like. You could make your own or store-bought. So let me show you again. So these are the Like wings, and I put them in the oven, and I'm gonna put them into the buffalo sauce. Let's do it. Okay. So I'm gonna give them a good toss. I misplaced my tongs, but tongs will make them much easier. But this is how they look. Now I'm gonna give them a quick toss. Here. Oh yeah. And once again, you know, the look of vegan chicken wings can come in so many different ways. If you make them at home, or store-bought, or from a restaurant, but their wings, vegan wings, are the same. Okay. So I didn't cook the whole package. I have about 12 here, but since I bought this in bulk, it is a lot more. So if you're having a party, I would suggest to go to Sam's Club. If you want a smaller package, you could probably try ShopRite or Target. But it's still a lot in the package. And for the quantities that I have, you know, you may want to do that stuff. I want to give you a look at how they're looking. Look at the steam right there. Okay. The buffalo Like wings. Right? So I'm going to go ahead and plate. That's all you do, you know? The word of the day for me is simple. Especially when you're going to a restaurant or from the store and you don't have time to cook. You could still have your fare of vegan wings. So I'm just going to put them on a plate here. You see how quick that was? I took them out of the oven. I put the sauce, which I already had preheating, in a bowl. Toss them. Look what we got, right? All right. Go ahead and plate. So I'm pairing these with blue cheese, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about where I got it from. So where I got the restaurant wings from is a restaurant called The Greener Kitchen, and their sister company is called Plant Foods, and they make vegan products like sausage, cheeses, breads, mayo, ranch, blue cheese, whatever you want. So after I plate, I'm going to show you the side of blue cheese that I have with it, which is really good. Right, I almost got them all on there. And I'm really excited to try these, by the way. I think they're newer. Who knows how long these particular wings have been on the market? But I think they're a newer brand. But of course, if you go to your local supermarket, look in your freezer section. Sometimes grocery stores will have their own vegan section. So go ahead and take a look and see what they have. And I suggest you take them home and give them a try. All right, so I'm just plating here. And I have a lot of sauce left in the bowl. So if you really like spicy, you can go ahead and put some extra sauce on the side. Okay, so once again, these are the Like Wings, and the brand is Like Meat, 100% vegan, of course. And here we go. You have your vegan buffalo wings, and I have a side of blue cheese, celery for garnish, of course. I just want to show you the dipping sauce that I'm using. So this is Plant Bliss and vegan blue cheese, and it really does taste like blue cheese. You can pick this up along with the wings. I have the kind of picture. The wings that I had from earlier. These are the store bought. That's it for me. Look at that. I mean, you can't beat that, can you? Buffalo is really good. I can't wait to try.
Thanks for sharing those easy to prepare options. They look so good, Jess.
Of course.
All right. So, Ray, are you ready to bring it full circle with your jackfruit wings for us?
I am, and I had to wipe my face, y'all, because I was over here grubbing down. Hear what I say?
Okay.
So,
All right.
Here you go. Food is done. And I just want to show y'all what these pieces look like. Now, again, whatever you're frying, it's about your technique. You know, it takes on the taste. It's all about flavor, okay? People are so intimidated thinking, oh, you know, it's vegan. It has no taste. I mean, you know, anything comes with no taste. It's all the flavor regardless about what you're going to cook. Same for vegan, okay? So, as you saw, I battered up everything. I did a brine with seasoning. I did batter with seasoning. And just show you. And another crisp piece. And I'm going to break it open so you can see. Look at that, y'all. She didn't come to all this. Yes, what's it? So yeah, I threw it aside like I wasn't going to eat it. I played it. And if you might remember, KFC used to do these bowls that had like mashed potatoes and corn, and it was something else in there. So with this, I figure, why not go and do something like that? So I had some mashed potatoes. Now these were instant mashed potatoes. I was not going to sit up here and sweat too much for y'all on this camera. So I got the instant where you just add your vegan milk, your vegan butter, a little bit of salt, and I actually also added some vegan sour cream, cream cheese, and I have it right here. It's Daya, chive, and onion. Added that to the mashed potatoes, and then I had some sweet corn. And to the sweet corn, I added a little rosemary and basil, since we are doing rosemary here. That is one of the themes, and you did not drink it. So I plated it. See to mash the corn and the chicken. We got to keep it a little gangster. Got a little bit of gravy over here. I'm going to drizzle a little bit of gravy. And I'm going to show you again, like y'all didn't see it the first time. Because gravy changes everything. Like, it changes everything. So now, got the gravy on there. And I'm going to show you the gravy I like to use. Vegan mushroom gravy from Imagine. And just because I'm feeling a little sassy, I don't know if it was the brown sugar bourbon, but I'm feeling just a little sassy. So I'm gonna take some of this Slap Your Mama Creek, sprinkle just a tiny bit, just the tiniest bit. And that's my Friday night dinner.
That looks good, Ray. So Jasmine, we're gonna bring it straight to you.
It sounds good. Okay, y'all. So I'm taking my little mixture out of the oven, and this is what they're looking like. So my next step is to go ahead and batter them, so I can go ahead and fry them and get that nice crispy thing like you saw with Justice and Trinity Kitchen. So I went ahead and I already started my buttermilk. Like Jesse was talking about earlier, I'm gonna is filled, you want to add some sort of like apple cider vinegar or lemon to help curdle the milk, and this gives it that nice little buttermilk feel to it. So I added that. I added like a teaspoon of lemon juice, about a cup of my plant milk, some seasonings of choice, and a little like a half a teaspoon of hot sauce, and I let that sit for a little bit. And then that's my wet batter. For my dry batter, I went ahead and I crushed up some cornflakes. So that's what's going to give it that nice crunchy flavor. So again, I have my gluten-free mixture that I made, my dry garbanzo beans, oat flour, almond flour. I'm going to go ahead and add that to my cornflakes. So like half cornflakes, half of my flour. I'm going to go ahead and give that a stir. Make sure everything is all even. And the key is adding your seasoning. So I just have some garlic powder, onion powder. This is sort of like a chili powder. Add some zest to it. I'm gonna go in with my umami seasoning again. And really, the same way that you season anything else, that's how you want to season this. So you can be as creative as possible and just adjust it to whatever your taste buds desire. I'm gonna go ahead and give that a mix. And my dry seasoning, my dry mixture is ready. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and batter our little cutlets. But you want to be careful, not so it doesn't fall apart. I'm gonna go ahead and dump it into my wet mixer. And then I'm gonna go ahead and dump it into my dry mixer. And the key with this is you want to double batter it. So this is my first batter. I'm just gonna go ahead and take my spoon. Now that I've laid my cutlet into the dry mixture and just coat it, and then go ahead and gently flip it over, coat the other side. Take it off, and add it back to here. Go on with the next piece. Add that to my dry mixture. I'm making a little mess over here so I can see. But that's okay because it's going to be so delicious. Flip it over and make sure each side is coated even. And just dust the excess off. Again, go ahead and coat each side evenly. Flip it, make sure the other side is coated. Transfer that back over. Just clean up a little bit. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead for my second batter. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the piece again. I'm gonna dump it into my wet seasoning. I'm going with my hand. And I'm gonna come into my dry seasoning. Go ahead and mix it around. And this time, so that the batter is sticking, I'm gonna go in with my hands, and I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that everything is coated. So again, molding it again. Just making sure that it's nice and coated with the dry mixture. And just forming that little cinder-like piece again. All right? So again, with my next piece. All right, wet batter, dry batter. Go in with my hands again and mold. And make sure that it's evenly coated with the dry batter. That's what's going to help it crisp up. Okay. One last piece. my batter, dry batter. Then go in and mold with the finger. Make sure it's all evenly distributed. Okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and move this to the side, and I'm gonna go ahead and get my oil heated on the stove top. Clean up a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and turn my stove on, and then to fry it up, I'm just using some grapeseed oil. I'm just gonna let me coat the bottom of my pan. I like using a smaller pan because I don't like to use a lot of oil, but I want that nice crispy sensation. So you need the oil to get it nice. I'm gonna let my oil heat up. And make sure the spatula is dry because you do not want any oil popping anywhere. And then as that's heating up, I'm gonna go ahead and add my tenders to the mixture. Using my spatula. I'm gonna gently drop it in. So I don't want any oil splashing around. So while I'm waiting for that to crisp up, I'm just gonna monitor it and wait for it to get like a nice golden brown on each side. But in the meantime, I'm gonna show you all my sauce. So for my wings, I did the 4 wings and fries, salt, pepper, ketchup. So I had to make some homemade ketchup. And to do it, I used some diced tomatoes, fire roasted, apple cider vinegar, onion, garlic, and some sugar. So what I did was on my stove top, I pan seared some onions, garlic. I let them brown up a little bit. Then I added in my fire roasted tomatoes. I let that simmer for a little bit. Once it was all simmering and I've seen it boil a little bit, I turned the heat off and I added it to my Vitamix and I blended all of those ingredients together. Once everything was nice and blended, I added it back to my pan and I added some sugar. Again, if you like sweet ketchup, you go with more sugar. Not so sweet, a little less. And then I added my apple cider vinegar for that tinginess that ketchup has. If you like it more tingy, of course you're gonna use a little bit more apple cider vinegar. Less tingy, less apple cider vinegar. But I added that and I brought it to a boil. And once it was boiling for a little bit, I added it to my bowl here. But what I did was I took a strainer and I just strained all the pulp of it so they had like this nice smooth texture that ketchup has. I then added 1 tablespoon of tapioca starch, 1 tablespoon of tapioca starch to 1 tablespoon of water. I mixed it around and I added that to my ketchup. I mixed it to help it thicken up, and this is what it's looking like. So it's a little lighter than our normal ketchup, but again, it's homemade and it tastes good. You have your vegetables in there, your onions, your garlic, your tomatoes. You don't have any of those extra, corn syrups or preservatives in your ketchup. You make it yourself. So that's my ketchup. I'm gonna go ahead and check on my wings. I'm still waiting for them to crisp up. So we can go ahead and touch base with the next person, see how they're going. And then when you come back, my wings should be nice and crispy, and they should be plated, so I can show you all the final product.
That's looking great, Jasmine. Jamila, if you're ready, we're going to come straight to you, okay?
All right, so let's see what I can do, y'all, because as I said earlier, this seitan recipe took a little bit longer than expected, especially since, it's taking vital wheat gluten, which is completely a powder, into like a solid, like faux chicken look. So let's see what happens. It's in the oven still, but I want to show y'all the progress. And I actually might be able to plate up a few while they're there. So let me just show y'all right here over by my oven. So once again, I had it in my oven at 375. So far, I had it for 20 minutes on one side, and I flipped it over, and I try to have it on 20 minutes on this side as well. So yeah, that's basically an hour. So 30 minutes for boiling, 20 minutes on one side, and 20 minutes on the other side. Wow. That takes, if you have the time, definitely do that at your own discretion. But I want to show y'all so far how it looks, because in my opinion, it looks great. And once again, as I said earlier, I had my own run at Seitan wings a few years ago and completely miserably failed. So luckily, I followed the instructions pretty much to a T this time, and I'm digging how they look. So here, let me show y'all so far what they look like. Y'all, don't front. Don't they look like little, they're little wings. I am in love. So they actually look like they're ready. I had them on the larger side, but they look like they're ready in my opinion. So I am going to take a few of them, some of them back in the oven, and show y'all how I like to mix it up with some barbecue sauce. So you can make your own barbecue sauce as well. Obviously barbecue sauce, not to obvious to everybody, but barbecue sauce really is ketchup, liquid smoke, like a sweetener, and a bunch of other types of spices. But once again, I'm going to be using some Sweet Baby Ray's. So I'm going to bring over a bowl. This is the same bowl that I used to squeeze the water out of the seitan before I put them into the oven. So I'm going to probably take about, let's say 5. I'll put 5 into my bowl. And I'm going to do the ones that are not as big. Once again, they when you boil them, they expand. So I tried to peel off as little pieces as possible for my seitan, but they still expanded. So I'm not even mad because they are larger. I don't want to have smaller wings, but these are a really good size, nice and poppable. So I have 5 wings right here. And look, they're like golden brown pretty much. The water is definitely out of them. They're still a little bit on the spongier side, but ain't no thing. So I'm going to put the rest of them back into the oven and have them cook for another, 10 or so minutes? Probably a little bit more. Okay, great. I'm just going to bring y'all right over here. And you could probably put about, I would say, if you're going to have about 20 or something wings in a bowl, you would probably want to put, oh wow, when it comes to measurements, who knows? But probably definitely over 2 tablespoons. Once again, I'm just going to let myself be guided by my hand. So I'm going to pour in a little bit, as much as I see. So I feel like it's going to be about 1 to 2 tablespoons, maybe. Definitely over for over 5 wings. So this is about 1.5 tablespoons. So I'm going to add a little bit first so I don't go overboard. So I'm going to take a lid and just shake them up. Nothing fancy, just shaking them up. All right, cool. So I'm just going to shake it up a little bit. Hopefully they're solid enough that they don't fall apart and disintegrate in this bowl. So just shake, shake, shake until everything is evenly coated. Nice. And so far it feels good. So let's check on that really quick. Honestly, do I need more than that? I actually do not think so. I think these are perfectly fine. You obviously can sauce them a little bit more, but I'm going to keep it at that. Take my fork and see if the texture is all good. And I'll probably have this one. This one's a little bit on the saucier side. Oh, yes. Yes. I love to see it. All right. Taste test. Okay. Not bad. Honestly, I could leave them out and not even put them back in the oven. Still a little bit on the spongier side internally. but I think that an extra 10 minutes will definitely firm it up. But this is very, very good, y'all. I'm not even mad. That should be it for me.
Camilla, can I see that close up?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Oh, man. Let me see. It just looks like a nice little beautiful golden nugget.
Beautiful.
Yes.
It's amazing what flour essentially can make. It's
Mhm.
like the most, nobody would ever think, you know?
Right.
So Jasmine, you still need a little bit more cook time for yours?
I'm actually ready.
Oh, beautiful.
This is what we're looking like. Our fries on this side.
Oh, that looks
On this
so
side.
Yeah.
And here are the wings. You can see they're nice and crispy.
They look so crispy.
Wow.
I don't want to tell it too much because I don't want my ketchup to go all over the place. But this is what it looks like. So, of course, like I said before, this is our Baltimore delicacy. Only have 3 wings and fries. Some people like to drizzle the ketchup all over, but I like to dip each piece one by one. One fry my ketchup and try it. And this is just the way I like it.
Nice.
Jasmine, can I just say, I love what you did for the Baltimore culture. Like, I don't know if people outside of Baltimore know how much, like, a chicken box and a half and half at a curry out is.
Yes, that's
All
the
you need is some mumbo sauce.
Yeah.
Oh, mumbo sauce.
Yes, I love that you did that. So creative to pay homage to Baltimore. Love it.
So let's all do another showing of our plates
Yes.
of vegan wings for the
Yes.
people so they can see all the possibilities that there are.
Y'all don't shade me because I kept eating.
Yes. We thank y'all so much for hanging out with us tonight. I mean, and this live was in honor of Veguary. Veguary is coming to a close, and whether you joined from day one or you just found out about Veguary and you've been tuning in with us, we're so glad that we could connect and spend time with you. And, you know, for some people, this is the beginning of their vegan journey. And we've all been vegan for a number of years. So I think it would be great if we could all go around and just give like one really quick piece of advice that might help somebody who's just going vegan or maybe might be feeling discouraged or is looking for some support on their journey. So me, I went vegan. I started eating more plant-based meals like in 2011, but I finally committed to being vegan in February 2016. And so for me, I would just say that the biggest piece of advice that I can give is to be patient with yourself, because going vegan is the beginning of a brand new journey, right? You're not going to know everything. So you have to be gracious with yourself, be patient. You're going to learn, you know what I mean? If you are really like committed, be committed to your reasons for going vegan, but also be open to learning even more, because once you begin the journey, you find out so many other things that reinforce your decision, I feel, you know? And so, yes, be patient, give yourself grace, and be open to learning. That's my advice.
Absolutely.
So I'll say, so I said earlier that this March will be my 15th vegan anniversary. So I went back vegan, I went vegan back in 2007. So I was very young. And like I said back then, the availability of products, it has grown so much. So what I would say is that even if the people around you or your family or what you're used to isn't vegan, if this is something that you decide to do, you have to follow your own path. So even if you're not surrounded by it, it is so much resources that can help you be vegan, whether it's things like this, that can help you. So whether you're, people surrounding you, don't let that deter you from, trying to go vegan and living a vegan lifestyle. That's what I would say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's awesome, first of all, Jessica, that you've been vegan for that long. Go ahead.
Happy anniversary.
Yes.
It's so regular at this point. I'll say that it's like not even a thing. Like I think over time you just get used to it, and like it's no longer. I guess I have to remember. Oh, I am vegan, But it's just a way of life at this point. It's been so long.
Nice. I love to hear it. But yeah, I mean, if I could offer any advice, I've been vegan for almost 9 years now. For in May, yeah, it'll be 9 years. Oh, I didn't even realize that. It flies by when you're having fun. So I would say to find your why. Because the thing for me, when I first went vegan, you know, people think of things as fad diets. It is not just a diet, it is a complete whole lifestyle. So find a reason why you would like to go and stay vegan through research, through experience, and just, you know, stick to it, y'all. It's more enjoyable and fulfilling than you think. So yes, find your why.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and build off of Jamila. Definitely find your why, because you have so many naysayers and negative Nancy's out there. And sometimes you be questioning, you know, oh, why am I doing this? If you don't know what your why is, whether it's for the animals, whether it's for your health, whether it's for the environment, you're gonna go. Like if you don't have a foundation, you don't understand why you're doing something, it's so easy to sway to something else. So definitely know your why, write it down so you can see it, put it on the board so you can get up and see it every day. Revisit your why every day so that when someone comes up and try to, you know, ask you questions, well, where do you get your protein from, or that's not healthy, or all those negative things where they really don't understand the questions that they're asking. Because really think about it. No one ever asks someone to eat where they get their protein from. They don't really understand it. But because you say that you're vegan, they won't ask you these questions. So definitely know your why, write it down, and make it your own journey. You know, all the negative naysayers, and go and watch videos of other people in their journeys, why they went vegan, and just, you know, build your mind up with that. So definitely know your why.
Right. Yeah, for me, I'm on year 7 now.
Nice.
My biggest advice is use your resources. You out here alone is no harder for you than it might be for the next person to the next person. You'll be so surprised how many people are struggling to get out of, oh, well, you know how to cook this and I only know how to cook that. The triple W is out there to be your friend, okay? You've got resources like the Afro-Vegan Society, okay? We always provide different information to you on a regular. We bring you chefs in the business. And even beyond that, there's the YouTube videos. You can just type in like, I want some ideas for, let's just say, a vegan steak. And you type it in and you have pages and pages and pages of people. And as time goes on, you'll start to see what is like how you actually like to season things. Like regardless of what lifestyle I was at before and my now, my whole MO was I would look at several different recipes to see what was consistent. Okay, this oven has to be on for this amount of time, and you have to use this technique with flouring or kneading or what have you. And whatever is consistent, I take that as the rule, and then I just go ham on whatever I want to do. It's fun. I use different seasonings. I try out different techniques. Like it's a whole world of like vegan food. Get your grub on pleasure out there. And the only box that you're in is the one that you keep yourself in. Stand up, get out there, get on a W and go ahead, man.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah, and I see to that one of the joys of being vegan is the exploration. I mean, to veganize recipes that you have never had before or try new vegan restaurants, it's so much exploring, you know, so enjoy it. Yeah.
Right, there's so many different vegetables that you aren't aware of that's out there that you can experiment with, that you can cook with. There's so much out there to stuff.
Mm-hmm. So true. Mm-hmm. Oh, Jessica, you're on mute, boo.
Call me mute tonight. No, but I mean, I think all those perspectives are amazing. And like, even though February is coming to an end and Veguary is coming to an end, Black history doesn't stop. Black progress doesn't stop. Black veganism is here. Black vegans are still growing and going. And Afro-Vegan Society is still here for all of you. So, you know, even though we've been really just intentional about sharing all this information all month, like Ray was saying, like everyone's saying, like these resources are out for you and we're committed to being a resource for you. And so with that, I mean, I feel like these virtual happy hours have been such a success. So we're going to make this a monthly thing. So you're going to be able to kick it with us every month. We're going to make different things, maybe have a theme like creating food with tofu or tempeh, tacos, whatever it is. And we're just going to show you, what you can do. And hopefully you can join us and just improvise in the kitchen with us and share your experiences, because our comment section is amazing. It's unmatched. You know what I mean? Like, people are connecting, sharing information and resources. Like, we're really supporting each other. So it always warms my heart to see people in the comments connecting and sharing and helping each other. So we appreciate you all for being here with us tonight. Virtual hugs, virtual kisses to you all. Yeah.
Yes.
So any closing thoughts, anyone, before we sign off for the night?
One thing I do want to say, of course, my portion is the pre-made wings version. So the restaurant that I did highlight, I forgot to mention, is Black-owned, which, is very important. So the Greener Kitchen in Pigtown in Baltimore is a Black-owned restaurant. So, yeah.
That's amazing. And also, Afro-Vegan Society has a Black vegan restaurant list on our website. So go to our website if you're looking for more vegan restaurants in your state. We just thank y'all, and take advantage of the resources. We are growing and going. Jess actually manages the Black vegan restaurant list, and there are always new submissions all the time. So we are part of a movement. We're at the ground floor of a movement that we believe is going to change the world. So we're glad that you're here with us, and we're doing something really positive for ourselves and our future. So we love y'all.
Yes.
Happy February, everyone.
Yes. Have a nice night.
Can't wait to see y'all again soon.
Yes.
Definitely.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Have a weekend.